Welcome to the Moreno Valley College President's Hour, heard on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and iTunes, and seen on YouTube. This is Riverside Community College District Public Affairs Officer Leslie Vargas, and I welcome you to sit back and enjoy engaging conversations with students, colleagues, and community leaders, all hosted by MVC President Dr. Rudy Besikof.
Pull up a chair and join me and Leslie for the President's Hour, a very special episode today, first time remote. Episode number 5, From Crisis to Leadership, training today's public safety professionals for tomorrow's challenges. We'll not only spotlight the educational pathways here at the Ben Clark Training Center, but we're also going to explore how these programs build leaders who respond, adapt, and lead in emergencies, disasters, and everyday public safety. Wow, what a professionally written opening paragraph to the show. And yes, I keep looking at you to give you credit there. You know, we have a great program today. We're going to be joined by several of our colleagues, Bob Fontaine, MVC's EMS, Emergency Medical Services Professor and Director of the Paramedics Academy, Captain John Begg, Fire Technology Faculty, and current CAL FIRE Captain is going to be joining us later. Isn't that exciting, Leslie? Then in the second segment of the show, we'll be speaking with Dr. Charles Wilhite, Associate Professor in Emergency Management and Homeland Security. And then for our resounding finish, we'll be bringing on Associate Professor Kristy Paine from Administration of Justice. We've got a full hour ahead, don't we?
Yes,
Wow.
a great show.
Yeah, and as we're doing that, we're going to explore how the programs operate, how they form public safety leaders, how they adapt, you know, to those evolving crises.
Yes.
And also how students and graduates move into leadership roles in real time. So, you know what, Leslie, as always, our audience can take in the program anytime on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and on my very own YouTube channel, Dr. Besikof Talks Education. And we cracked the 20 subscriber mark this week after 2 years of being at 13. It's amazing. But you know what? YouTube isn't the only thing. Leslie, how can our audience get in touch with the program?
I'm glad you asked. They can email us at prezhour@mvc.edu. That's prez, P-R-E-Z, hour@mvc.edu. Like us on Facebook at Moreno Valley College and follow us on Instagram and X at Moreno Valley College. Dr. Besikof also does social media.
Now, he doesn't always do it very well, but I
but you
do
social
media,
yeah. And you can do it at Dr. Besikof on Instagram and the Dr. Besikof Talks Education on YouTube. It has all his video content. So yeah, we're there.
So to our audience, greetings as always. I'm Rudy Besikof, President of Moreno Valley College, home of the Mountain Lion Nation and also the only public higher education game in town since 1991. You know, like so many things with the President's Office, my work is the result of a great team. In addition to Leslie, Chris Rangel makes us look and sound good with all his work behind the scenes. Vice President Jake Kavari helps with planning, and the all-star team in the BCTC today, led by Dean Phil Rawlings, is pitching in today to help, as is our colleagues in CTE, especially Nikki Cook, who's providing us with a great update this week. But anyway, getting things kicked off today for the first time is my co-host, Leslie Vargas. Leslie, how are you?
I'm doing great. If you ever come to Ben Clark, don't park on the gravel if you have a low-sitting car. Find the dirt or find the pavement. That's my 2 cents. Do
you remember your first time you came here?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So my first time I came to Ben Clark, I got lost because I didn't know, I couldn't find what looked like the picture. So I ended up down far where it looked like I could get arrested. Like that wasn't a place where pedestrians were supposed to be, and I didn't want people to not understand that. So I had to call. I called Dean Rawlings. I called Dr. McGowan and said, hey, where am I really supposed to be? And I was like 1.5 miles.
All right. So Professor Bob Fontaine, welcome. Your first time here, did you get lost, or do you remember your first time coming to Ben Clark?
I've been at Ben Clark for a little over 20 years.
Okay.
And so.
You remember your first day here?
I do. My first day here was when this was still kind of an active base, when I was still working as a paramedic in the area. And so responding to a call out here, probably in the early 90s. And so that was my first contact with Ben Clark. And at that point, it wasn't Ben Clark. It was part of the military base.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
Amazing. So, have you ever seen the TV show Emergency?
absolutely, we make our students watch it to this day.
I still remember that was, as a kid, that was my favorite TV show, hands down. It was-
100%.
Yeah.
Actually, we had the privilege of having Randolph Mamtooth, who played Johnny Gage.
Oh, really?
actually spoke at 2 of our paramedic graduations.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I actually have
Fantastic.
a picture with them that's near and dear to my heart.
Okay. So, could you tell us a little bit about your time as a paramedic?
Sure. I started EMS in 1986, right out of high school. Went to paramedic school, became a paramedic in 1989. Predominantly worked in the private sector my whole time as a primary 911 paramedic, both in Riverside and San Bernardino County. Started teaching part-time after I got my degree in 2000, part-time, and then fortunate to come full-time in 2004 as a full-time faculty. So had the opportunity nearly 40 years next year being in AMS.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
amazing. Wow. If someone comes to this campus, what might they notice that's really distinctive?
This is a working campus, and what I mean by that is that we are part of the educational system, but we are part of the training system as well. So our folks are not here just sitting in a classroom and learning about process. They're actually out in the drill grounds. They're doing with the law enforcement. They're with our EMS Academy where they're learning to start IVs and medications. And so when our students come here, we want them to be professional day one. And we want them to feel part of that community, because when someone calls 911, they're going to get a paramedic, a firefighter, a police officer. It's all part of that system. And so if we build a interprofessional education system here from day one, then they have that when they go out there in the field.
So I normally call this the kind of elevator explanation, but there is no elevator here at Ben Clark, so we'll call it the Ben Clark hall walk explanation. Let's just imagine we're walking from here to the end of the hall. Tell us about the EMS program, the time commitment, what's involved. Just kind of give us an overview.
Sure. So if you were a brand new person walking into this campus and said, I want to become a EMT or a paramedic, the first class they would take would be EMS 41, which is our EMR, Emergency Medical Responder course. Once they complete that, then they enter into the EMT class. It's a 2-class, 1-semester course. From there, they're able to go out and get hired on as an EMT, an emergency medical technician. They're trained at what we call that basic life support. So they're able to, stabilize somebody, assist a paramedic. It's about 200 hours of training.
So, and you're saying an EMT is kind of like a paramedic's assistant or a junior
I
paramedic?
wouldn't say assistant because that's a little degraded.
Okay.
EMTs are about 75% of when you call 911.
Okay.
If you were to call 911 right now, we would end up with engine 58 responding, would be 3 firefighters that are all EMTs and 1 paramedic, and then AMR would have an EMT and a paramedic. So the EMTs are an integral part of what the EMS system is. And then the paramedic is that higher level. And the kind of way I always equate it to is the difference between maybe a registered nurse and a vocational nurse.
Okay.
They're both considered nurses, but obviously different levels of training.
Okay.
And so in order to go, once they become an EMT, they go work out in the field. The prerequisite to come back in the paramedic program is at least 1,000 hours working in the field, having their Bio 45 course, that introduction, and then we start the paramedic program. Our paramedic program is about 14 months long, and so they're here 3 days a week from 6 in the morning to about 6 at night, and they're doing lecture in the morning, lab in the afternoon. That's their first semester, and then the second semester we're starting to put them out in the clinical setting where they're actually doing OR, so they're doing their intubations and learning how to put breathing tubes down. They're in the ERs, the labor and delivery, they're in the PEDS ER, and then they're still in the classroom during that period as well. And then they come back and they actually have to do their internship. And their internship is a minimum of 480 hours, where they're riding as a 3rd person on an ambulance, or a 4th person on an engine, or a 5th person on an engine, and they're being evaluated by a preceptor that we vetted through the program.
So if somebody comes in here with 0 hours, how much time should they plan to becoming an EMT and then to continue on to become a paramedic?
If they just came in 0 hours, they would come in first 8 weeks, they could do an EMR course and then transition right into an EMT course. So they can actually get that EMT training in 1 semester. And then they would have to go back and get that field experience in order to come back to paramedic school. And from there, they have some pathways, because from EMT, they can actually either go into that or they can go into the fire academy. So, and I know Captain Begg's going to talk about that.
Excellent.
See, I don't want to jump the gun. I know you said a lot, and to me, I'm hearing like maybe like customer service would be a good skill for these people to have. So like, what is the mindset that they need to have, and how important is customer service when you take on a profession like this?
So as I always tell students, there is no 912. And so when someone calls 911, they expect that they have professionals that are walking through that door. And they're there to care for that individual from the second they treat them to the second they release them to a higher level of care or a different level of care. And so customer service is huge. Part of our program is we also do some outreach. Community service is a big thing. So one of the things we do with our students is we actually collaborate with UCR School of Medicine, RCC School of Nursing. We do twice a month, we do some street medicine, where we go out to the community, provide street care to individuals and we don't ask for insurance, we don't do immigration status, we're there just to treat them. And we have a physician with us so they can actually get meds and all that stuff. And it's a really good, that interprofessional education between the paramedic student, the registered nurse student, and the student that's becoming a doctor.
So you've kind of provided us a program overview. You've talked about what it's like on the other side after students graduate. Now take us a day in the life for an EMS student here at Ben Clark. What can they expect?
Yeah, so when they get here, I'll talk on the paramedic level because that's a little bit longer of a day for them. When they get here, they're embedding themselves either in a classroom or in the lab. We have both a junior and a senior class, so we run 2 cohorts. One starts in the spring, one starts in the fall. And so they're collaborating. Everything is their responsibility. So it's not the faculty setting up the equipment. They're setting up their equipment, they're setting up their labs, they're breaking down that stuff. They're working with the faculty to make sure that any equipment's missing. So we're treating it basically like you're coming into your service day, that this is your job. And so when they come in, we'll do lecture. We do everything from cardiology being its own to pathophysiology. And then when we do our scenarios, we do a lot of simulation because you just can't create that. And so we've been very fortunate that we've been able to fund a lot of simulation stuff. We have a prism room that we can actually do a 3D or 3 walls, and we can embed that scene for the student to see and really give them that real life experience. One of the other things that we've been really working on is to have that mental health part of it as well. And so we have Eros, our dog, that's here now, that's part of the whole community. He's here because what we want is we want to make sure that the students are understanding what they're getting into, that they're not going to save every patient's life, that they're going to have people that are going to die, that they're going to have, some really bad days, and how do we fix that? And so the mental health is just as important as the educational piece of it.
So a lot of our students here at Moreno Valley College have the same major that I had my first 2 years, which was undecided. What would you say to somebody to say what would you say to somebody in terms of finishing this sentence? You might want to consider enrolling the EMS program if?
I would say if you want to serve others, if you want to be part of the community, if you like medicine, then the EMS program would probably be the perfect place for you. And then I would also say that most of us that are in EMS probably have a little bit of ADHD and everything else because we like to be outside and every call is different. So there's no script when we run calls.
That part sounds like the college president part. Certainly I have no script and no 2 days are the same.
So we adapt and overcome.
Yeah. Well, Professor Fontaine, it was great having you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
If somebody's interested in EMS, what's the best way to contact you or get in touch
they
with
can just contact me directly. My email is robert.fontaine@mvc.edu, and then we can get them connected. If they want to come down here and see what we do, I'm more than happy to have them down here as well.
All right. Well, you know what? I was searching for some change for the soda machine, but I found this. Professor, it was great to have you on the
Appreciate
program. What's that?
Oh, it's challenge coin. Very
Could you
cool.
tell us what that is?
Sure. So this is one of the things that we started doing about 6 years ago, was we started issuing challenge coins for each of our paramedic classes. This is to be given to the student. And then also when we have special guests or anything else that come out to the students, they're able to get that as well.
Excellent, excellent. Actually, could I have it back?
Yes.
He said, wow, that's cool. I need to keep it.
Anyway, great. Well, again, thank you. And certainly want to just remind our audience that you are tuned in to the President's Hour, which is available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The show as well can be seen on YouTube on the Dr. Besikof Talks Education channel. Excellent. Well, Leslie, what did you think? First guest, one down, and
I thought it was great, and I
we're ready
also
to
saw
talk
the
fire now.
vision.
Yeah.
Street medicine shirts. Look,
Yeah.
I want to be a street med shirt.
All right.
Legal
There you
meds.
go.
Look, I go. No.
There you go. Love to have you.
All right, great. So Leslie, just as we transition and as Professor Begg joins us now, what are some things about fire management and things, or fire departments or fire safety? What comes to mind for you?
The biggest thing is that everybody probably needs to own a fire extinguisher. And you always need to have something, because just in case, we have so many fires here in California that it's better to be safe than sorry. And I don't even know how much a fire extinguisher could put out, because I've never had to actually use one. I just replace them when they expire, so.
Well, I remember one of my first experiences was while I was living in Colorado. There were fires in Utah, and it was a pretty massive one. And then basically for about 2 weeks in Denver, we had basically the smoke and everything. And certainly we were not blowing smoke to welcome Captain Begg to the program. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good afternoon. How are you both doing today?
Doing well.
Great,
Doing
yeah.
well. What do you remember about your first day as a firefighter?
Oh, the first day was a little dramatic, if you will. It was my very first time riding on a fire engine, was actually to a traffic collision. So, and that was my not 10 minutes after setting my gear on the fire engine, off we went as a volunteer 25 years ago.
Wow.
And you know, speaking of the fire engine, last week on Saturday, I saw you out in the community, and I saw Leslie as well. Maybe the two of you want to tell our audience about that event and what you were doing when you were out there.
I brought out one of the 4 college fire engines that we have for the outreach program. And we were out there on full display to make sure that we let the community know what we offer as far as training in the fire service goes, and the equipment that we use and things like that, to try and entice and get people engaged and wanting to really entertain the possibility of coming to the fire academy when they're of college age. Yeah.
So I saw you, and I asked you a few questions about your truck and what was there. What do people most often get drawn to, or what do they ask you the most about? Is whether it's your truck or the equipment? Is there a certain piece?
Yeah, depending on the age. So older folks tend to go with, they want to know more about the equipment. The younger folks, but they just want to sit in the fire engine and they want to pretend like
See the light?
Yeah, they want to pretend like they're driving it, and that usually sometime after that is when they start asking a little more questions about the work, the industry, and then some of the toys that we have on there, tools, if you will. Okay.
You know what, I actually want to start with the last question we ended with Professor Fontaine.
Sure.
Student in the fire program, could you just walk us through a day in the life of that experience here at in Clark Center?
Yeah, so our students start here at about 5:40 in the morning. Yeah, they have long days. So they start off at 5:40 in the morning for their physical fitness program. So from 5:30 to about 6:45 or so, they're doing physical fitness to keep them in the process of what's required in the fire service, because it's very physically demanding. From that time on, they have a little break to get cleaned up, take showers, get something to eat. They're back in the classroom at 7:45. They do our flag detail outside, where they line up as a class, do their flags, and they're in the class at 8 o'clock ready to start their day. So from 8 o'clock, they're either in the classroom for their lectures, or they're heading outside to the drill grounds to do their hands-on education training.
By 8 o'clock, that sounds like a full day, doesn't it?
By 5:40 a.m., I don't understand how people could be ready to work out. Look, I go, unless they went to bed really early.
Part of the mindset of the fire service is we are a paramilitary organization, right? So we run by paramilitary thought process, which means that we have a rigid, program of time management, and that's one of the things that we instill in them and teach them, amongst other things, is time management. So that's one of the reasons why we have things on a specific schedule like that.
Wow. Okay, well, talking about that, what made you want to be a firefighter? I understand you teach fire technology, but you also serve as a fire captain with CAL FIRE, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, 25 years ago, I started as a volunteer firefighter in the city of Temecula and have been in the industry ever since. My goal, or my motivation has always been to help other people. That's truly what I love to do, is to help people. And one of the reasons that I thoroughly enjoy what I do here with the colleges is my ability to mentor the brand new students, brand new firefighters, is to be able to set a platform or a you know, like a foundation, if you will, for their training and education and their career. And to me, that's hugely important, to give them the right attitude, the right mentality to move them forward safely. That's the biggest thing, safely, because in our line of work, I get emails just about every day from agencies talking about line of duty deaths in the fire service. So for us, the safety component is just absolutely incredibly important for us. And it starts at our level.
What's the part of the training program that maybe somebody would be surprised to know about?
I think right now in today's environment, I think that the thing that would be the most eye-opening is probably the studies, the statistics, and the education that's now coming out about mental health. So the effects of PTSD on fire service. Some of the other things that are really big right now are like the cancer exposures and things like that. Those are surprising because while we had known about some of that stuff in the process or over the years, it's only been the last 3 or 4 or 5 years that it's really come out with some hard scientific data to show what's been happening in our industry. And so being able to take that information and put it into the younger generation today is what is going to kick the change in the fire service for tomorrow and moving forward.
Walk us through the program, the amount of time needed and the training that's provided.
So if we're referring just the academy portion. So the academy, obviously we have, to start with, we have prerequisite classes. They have to have an EMT or higher. They have to have completed Fit 1, which is Intro to Fire Technology. They have to have a valid CPAT or BIDL, which is CPAT or BIDL is a physical abilities test, basically saying they meet a certain level of physical.
So what are some of the baseline things that would have you pass that test?
For that would be like a hose drag, a dummy drag, raising a ladder, carrying a ladder, taking equipment up a 4-story building, coming back down, going back up, hoisting a section of hose up 3 stories and back down, and doing it in a certain amount of time.
How much does a dummy weigh, just out of curiosity?
154 pounds, exactly.
Okay,
So and they do this with a structure. Oops, sorry, with a structure coat and an SCBA harness on them as well. So they have to do it under circumstances of somewhat realistic as it would be in the environment.
Okay, so you talked to us about some of the prerequisites. Now take us into the program.
So the program itself, we cover everything that you would see for an entry-level firefighter. So everything from learning about fire behavior, fire chemistry, hose types, hose construction, how it's used, when it's used, how to load it on the fire engine properly, how to deploy it properly, knowing about your nozzles, the different types, the gallons per minute they can flow, when you set them, how you set them, fire attack. We take them into live fire training. So we actually bring them in, like next week, we'll be doing first couple of days of live fire training. We're actually going to sit them in a room. We're going to light a bunch of stuff on fire in the corner, and they're going to get to see the different phases of fire as it builds, just like it would in a residential structure fire. And then we're going to take them out and do some other things. We're going to show them a flashover, which is a very dangerous situation, but because it's very imperative that they understand what that is and realize the signs and the symptoms of that. And so we take them into that environment and show them as well. Everything you can think of: ladders, vehicle extrication, flammable liquid, flammable gas fire, search and rescue, forcible entry, rope rescue operations, everything that you need to know in the fire service. We give them that basic level education to get them started as a probationary firefighter.
Okay, and how long does it take to come from just fresh in the building to being a probationary firefighter?
Well, it depends. Right now, in the industry is very good for students that are coming through Fire Academy. There is a need for firefighters all over the place, not only in California, but across the nation. So there's jobs there. It's not the old days, five positions open, 10,000 applicants is not the case these days. So coming in here, We have our academy total is probably about 750 hours of training over the 16 weeks. And they are qualified if they pass and they get all their certifications, and there's 15 certifications again through a combination of state fire training, NWCG, CAL FIRE and whatnot, to put them in a very marketable atmosphere, if you will. Which our goal is to not only give them training, but to help them build a little resume as well to make them competitive when they go to apply for a job. They're sitting very well to become a probationary firefighter with most departments.
Wow. Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, I asked about our previous guest about the TV show Emergency.
Oh, yeah,
I've got to ask
absolutely.
you about Backdraft. Give us your assessment of the movie Backdraft.
Backdraft was a great movie.
Okay.
Realistically speaking, and I can't speak for what happens in other states, but realistically speaking, here in California, that's that's really over dramatized for what
Oh,
we
was?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
What would have been a piece of reality that would have been better served in the film, do you think?
Well, I mean, movies are made to sell tickets, so
True.
you know, you put the drama and everything in there that you do. I think for me, represent the fire service would be to actually have crews go out and ride on fire engines like we've had in the past, to actually see what we do. Like we are, you know, I work for the state of California, not only for the college, but I work for, our job is to serve the taxpayers of the state of California. We are there to help anybody that's having a bad day, whether it's my smoke detector batteries are bad, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Sure.
You know, I can't turn my water off. We go to anything and everything to help the residents of, you know, the state of California, or my specific case, I'm assigned to Riverside, so I function mainly in Riverside, but I have been all up and down the state on fires and incidents over my career.
So whether it's after a full semester or after a year, how many students how many graduates are we putting into the workforce through your program?
So I have been fortunate enough, I believe this is like my 13th fire academy here, which I think is kind of like a record for a coordinator. And I sent out a questionnaire form to most all of my previous classes, and based on the responses that I've got, I want to say that when I looked at it and did the percentages, about 70% plus of our students are getting jobs somewhere in California or outside of California. So we have a really good success rate. And that doesn't account for the people that never responded either. So, but we do phenomenally well. We work really well. All of our academy instructors are current firefighters working somewhere in California, from as far north as Glendale, all the way to Palm Springs, all the way down to San Diego. And they bring a wealth of information. They bring a wealth of ability to tell them what their departments look for specifically for a candidate. We even have in a month down the road, we actually have the city of Memphis, Tennessee coming out to talk to our kids about recruitment.
Well, I have a question. You talked about mental health. Our previous guest talked about mental health. If you had to do a PSA for a family, like what would you want to tell families to support their students going through this program or this profession they're going to take? Because it seemed like they would need some type of support at home.
Sure. Oh, absolutely they do. This is a fun job. By no means that there's never been a day that I've worked in the fire service that I have felt like I've gone to a job. That's the nice thing about it. If you're really into it and you're really hooked, it's fun. It's fun to go to work, which is the best thing. But are there a lot of dark things that come with our job? Absolutely there is. And they have to be able to, not only the students, but the family members need to recognize they are going to have those things, and it does have an effect on their mental health. And they need to know that there is help out there for them. Every fire department nowadays has a mental wellness program. They have employee support services and things like that. They're all, not only is it available to the employee, but it's available to their families as well. Because the things that happen to us are going to have a direct effect on the families as well.
Appreciate all that information. Captain Begg, if somebody's out there and they want more information about the fire program here, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely, email me, johnjohn.begg, B-E-G-G, @rccd.edu.
Excellent. Well, Captain, thank you so much for coming on the program. Also, thank you so much for your service as well.
Have a good day.
Excellent. And once again, Leslie, we'll just go ahead and remind our audience that they are tuned in to the President's Hour. And as always, we're available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And our show can be found on YouTube at the Dr. Besikof Talks Education channel.
Yes.
So Leslie, as we transition at this point in the show, this is becoming one of my favorite features as our next guest comes in, is to talk about our partners of Moreno Valley College. And September 30th was actually a very special day because our partners from Bank of America and the Community Health Association Inland Southern Region, or CHISR, they were on campus. And our partners from Bank of America were discussing career pathways in finance and giving their insights on the hiring process. So that was Bank of America.
Wow.
Right? And then CHASER, I believe, is the acronym. They, again, Community Health Association Inland Southern Region. They gave out details on their future docs program for people interested in healthcare.
Oh, wow.
And what was neat about the event was everybody who was in attendance got a free MVC laptop bag. Talk about the ultimate swag to take home.
You're right. Look,
Yeah,
I
you're looking around like, where's mine, weren't you? Yeah. So, you know, just to share, the Future Docs program is funded by the Boston Scientific Foundation. And again, our colleagues at CTE, Dean Eric Anthony and Nikki Cook and Rosalinda Rivas, just, man, they seem to just turn up diamonds here. And this is one more, because this one, the Future Docs program, is actually a free online preparatory program for undergraduate, juniors, seniors, or recent graduates planning to apply for med school.
Oh, wow.
And it's a great fit for students with a clinical background, including those coming from our medical assistant program. And the program includes MCAT prep course, you know, for the MCATs to be a doctor, mentorship experience, clinical experience, personal statement support for that application, and a lot more. You know, if someone happens to hear this, there are still spots available. And if you're interested in the program, whether it's for this year or for a future year, you should absolutely reach out to Nikki Cook in the Career and Technical Education Office. Her phone number is 951-571-6907. Again, those last four digits are 6907. Or they can email nikki.cook, C-O-O-K, at mvc.edu. So amazing opportunity.
That is great.
You know, every time I ask the CTE office to give us a connection that's out there in the community, they answer the bell, and I have a feeling there are so many more to come. Speaking of support and generosity, as we move on, and I will remind listeners that, as always, that Moreno Valley College supports students with scholarships, including the MVC President's Excellence Fund. This is for currently enrolled students who may be in the middle of a semester but experiencing something like a flat tire that sets them back financially a little bit, maybe losing books or something else that's that unexpected obstacle. So students, if you are enrolled and experiencing such difficulties, please reach out directly to my office, 951-571-6060, 6060, and we'll provide you with more information about this scholarship opportunity. Now, where does the money come from, right? And that's the big question.
That is the big question.
And to support students, MVC partners with the RCCD Foundation at our district, and we jointly invite community leaders, members of the public to consider making a donation, whether it's to my scholarship or other ones that are available. And I have a feeling Dr. Wilhite might tell us about scholarships in a moment. But just to support, whether it's scholarships, maybe the purchase of instructional equipment for college, or other resources. And you know, besides that warm fuzzy or the benefit that comes with that, I'll also share that any charitable gift to Moreno Valley College is tax deductible, and it's processed through our Riverside Community College Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And if you want more information, visit the foundation website at rccd.edu/community/foundation, or you can email them at foundation@rccd.edu. But you know what? A lot of the time a gift is a personal thing. Yes. And if someone's out there in the community, they can contact me directly. Again, 951-571-6060, and I'll be glad to find some time to talk about it. As the last part of this pitch, as always, I want to talk to our employees. Monthly payroll deduction. You know, that is a great way to do it, and it puts you in a situation where you're always giving as opposed to saying yes or no, or maybe forgetting.
Yes.
And it really can take just a little bit. In fact, Leslie, 4 cups of coffee a week do that for a year, what can we provide for students?
We could give them some classes. We could give them
Two of them.
two classes,
two classes,
a
yeah.
Chromebook.
And a
It's just-
Chromebook, yeah.
That's important.
So-
We're in the technology age. That's
So anyway,
important.
if you have any questions, of course, reach out to me in my office, or Jeffrey Kotz is the executive director of the foundation, and he can provide answers to any questions. So I think we'll go ahead and welcome Dr. Charlie Wilhite. And I'm going to start with that question. Scholarships available to students here at Ben Clark. What can you tell us about that?
So we are really one of the things, because we are primarily focused on getting people high-paying jobs, we have a lot of partnership opportunities, especially through workforce development. So people coming into our various programs, our fire technology programs, some of our law enforcement programs, our paramedic programs have opportunities for scholarship. They have scholarships for opportunities for help with their uniforms and, you know, beyond just tuition and books. So a lot of our students are really not having to come out of pocket. So we have a lot of things here on the career technical education side that go beyond the Pell Grants and the Promise program and the various things that are available to
quite a
all
bit.
of our
Wow.
students.
It's amazing.
And I, you know, you didn't ask, but I'll just tell you, we're one of the few places where you can really, and you know, you just talked to John Begg, and you know, those students are going through a 16-week program and stepping out into $80,000, $90,000 a year jobs.
Wow.
And there's very few. I mean, that's something that's kind of unique about the public safety arena, is we prepare people. You know, we have. You're going to talk to Kristy Paine about our police academies, and those students are walking out into jobs that are going to make them 3 figures within
That's
a year.
amazing. Wow.
And same for the fire service. So
So I want to break a little bit of news here. Your program is going to have a bachelor's degree.
yes,
Tell
we
us
are
about
so
that.
excited. So first off, I am the professor of emergency management, Homeland Security. And the first question I get, which you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is what in the heck is emergency management and Homeland Security?
Sure.
And what it is the example I use is, you know, my youngest granddaughter is really into the Paw Patrol. And the Paw Patrol, we have all these puppies who have specializations. You have Chase, he's the police.
He's on the case.
He's on the case. You
yeah.
have Rubble, he's your public works department. You have Sky, right? You have the fire department. And then you have Ryder. And Ryder's the one who coordinates all of these people. So when there's a disaster, or here in Riverside County where we pretty much catch on fire
All the
at the
time.
beginning of August or the beginning of summer and kind of stay that way now throughout the year, we don't really have a fire season. Bringing hundreds of firefighters, bringing hundreds of law enforcement, animal control, the utilities, all of those people together, that's what emergency managers do. And when we're not doing that, we're preparing for the emergencies. So the evacuation plans that you see in the building, and the checking of the fire, and the public service announcements you see that tell you to prepare for wildfire and be prepared for earthquakes. The upcoming the shakeout, which is coming up here in October.
October 16th?
October 16th at 10:16 in the morning. Those are emergency management functions. And then right now, emergency managers are coordinating everything that's going on in Altadena and down in Pacific Palisades and across the country when we have to recover from these disasters to get people back to where they were. So that's emergency management.
So it's a bachelor's degree, and with the practicum and everything you have to do in the field, is it a true 4-year degree, or
It is.
is there probably more of a time commitment?
Well, no, it's a 4-year degree. And basically it is, first off, it's the first 4-year degree in our region.
Yep.
It's the first 4-year degree in our district. And it is what we call kind of a 2+2 or a stackable, which means any of our degrees here at Ben Clark, or actually any degree, any associate's degree, is the foundation of the bachelor's degree. But more seamlessly, any of our fire technology, homeland security, emergency management, law enforcement degrees will feed directly into this bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And within 2 years, you can complete your upper division courses, just like you would at a university. The ending of that in the last semester is either a capstone, where the students will create some sort of a project. Say I'm a working firefighter, I might do something to, make my organization better.
For
Or
example?
I might come up with, the sky is the limit, right? It's what the students can do in their organization, right? So I might come up with a new training plan. I may know that there's a certain population within my jurisdiction that is underserved and that isn't prepared for a disaster. And I may come up with a plan to put into place to better serve that underrepresented population. One of the things about this program that excites me is that we have in that program, we have a sociology program or a sociology class that focuses on traditionally underserved, traditionally underrepresented people. We have a psychology class that focuses on the psychology of disaster and the psychology of being traditionally in a position where you're not in a position of power. So we are focusing not just on the skills.
Right. I'm hearing, so far what I'm hearing is the social science psychology part of it. I'm hearing the planning, training planning, almost project management, so kind of what I'm hearing.
Project management
and then also
is one
I'm
of the
hearing
requirements.
leadership
Yes.
skills. Those
So
kind of seem to be
those
the
upper
extra
division
tools.
courses, besides the general education, include things like project management, budgeting and grants,
Okay.
public safety finance, beyond just emergency management, because the other focus of this is we tried to create a degree that not only would feed into traditional emergency management, but would also be a way to assist current public safety personnel in promoting and upskilling, which again is part of our focus in career technical education, is not only getting people into the jobs, but getting them the skills they need to promote and upskill in those jobs. So each of the degree was designed not only for emergency managers, but for police officers, firefighters, paramedics who are interested in becoming lieutenants, captains,
That's amazing.
paramedic supervisors, battalion chiefs, division chiefs. Because one of the things is when you're 21 years old, running into fire, making that hose go up 3 stories, or chasing down an offender in lawn, that's fun. And your body can do it. But as we get a little older, we need jobs that maybe are in management. And although you can get hired with an associate's degree into law enforcement and the fire service, you're not going to promote.
What inspired you to get into the classroom?
So I actually, you asked Bob Fontaine earlier about his first time at Ben Clark. My first time at Ben Clark was working for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department when our training bureau, which I was part of at the time, moved to Ben Clark.
Oh, wow. So
I'd been part of the Ben Clark community since the Air Force handed us the key. So I've been a adjunct here for over 25 years. And much like you heard from John Begg, it is about passing on the knowledge. I was blessed to have some great people to mentor me, some great people to teach me skills. And as we get older and we can't so much, we don't do as much, I think it's really incumbent on us, we have an obligation to pass that on to the next generation. And so when I retired from full-time public safety, I transitioned into full-time academia.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Just really quickly, if anybody's listening, they're interested in this new bachelor's degree, or they want to learn more about emergency management, homeland security, and everything, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me is through our website, which will also give you some information, and that is mvc.edu/BSEM. So Bachelor of Science in Emergency Management. And that'll take you to a program page that will give you some information about our program, and will there's a link on there where you can get on our mailing list, and as we push out more information, we will give that to you. And I did forget to mention something that I really think is important, which is, what we didn't mention is that the tuition for this degree.
That was my question. What does the tuition look like? Yeah.
The tuition looks like, for the entire program, less than $10,000 for all 4 years.
Wow.
Amazing.
And that is assuming that is the absolute most, because most of our students in their first year or two are going to be they're going to, part of that is going to be paid for if they're eligible for Pell Grants, if they're eligible for scholarships. But our tuition of give or take $150 an upper division unit, obviously you can compare that to other universities, to a Cal State, to a UC, to a private college, where that might be what you're paying for a semester is what you're going to pay for a degree here.
Excellent. Well, thank you. You know what, Leslie, I think we need to invite Dr. Wilhite back to the program.
Yeah, he has
I want to learn more about the doctor part of his credential. And I also just, he's a leader on our campus, co-chairing our college council, and doing a lot on campus level leadership. Dr. Wilhite, just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you as well for just your service to the community as well as to the college. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's excellent.
Thank you so much.
So again, Leslie, do you want to do our last station ID? Because I think I've kind of got the broken record thing going. So what do you want to tell our listeners?
Well, I can tell our listeners very clearly that you are tuned in to the President's Hour, available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The show can also be found on YouTube on the Dr. Besikof Talks Education channel.
Excellent. All right. So now we're moving to the final part of our program. I feel like we've run a relay here, you know, Leslie. We
have
talked,
heavy hitters.
We've talked paramedics, we've talked fire, we've talked emergency management, our new bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost might be time to call the cops, right?
Well, here I am.
Want to welcome Professor Kristy Paine, and I know we just been talking, you had a question right off the bat,
Yes,
so
so
let's hit the ground running.
What is your favorite police movie, if you had to say one? Which one would you encourage our listeners to watch?
Reno 911.
I said you might say that. Look at that. I said she's going to say Reno. I didn't even know you did.
Because of the crazy things that happen in it, because that's what you're gonna see.
Okay, so kid growing up in Colorado, I think Professor Fontaine said that he was class of 1986 for high school, me too. So as a kid growing up, it was watched Emergency, but then after that, Adam 12 was on.
Adam 12 was
So,
my favorite.
Yeah.
Actually, one time I was working in Rubidoux, and I said, it's supposed to be Edward 12. I called myself Adam 12. And
Oh,
I
okay.
never lived it down. Great show.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about just your service, time on the force, things like that.
Oh,
Could we
okay.
start
So I'm 30 years with Riverside County Sheriff's, retired as a lieutenant.
there? Okay.
So I
Thank you for your
worked.
service.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And worked different areas, different stations, Lake Elsinore. I've been in the jail 3 times, once as a deputy, once as a sergeant, and once as a lieutenant. I really enjoyed the jail at times. I was able to write a grant for the mentally ill offenders to try to get them out of the jails, because we do have a lot of mentally ill in the jail that don't belong there. So I had an opportunity to write and start off a grant there. I've worked a lot of patrol stations, different ones, swing shift watch commander, a lot of stuff.
Wow. You know, throughout our program, mental health and mental health awareness and addressing mental health issues, that's been a thread throughout our conversations today, Leslie, that quite frankly, you know, I knew it was there, but not to this extent.
We have staff out here that are training for their mental illness for different certificates that they need, and they're available to our students out here 4 days a week, I believe it is, but don't quote me on that. But they're out here.
Speaking of those credentials, within your program, what's available, either certificate or degree?
Okay, so we have degrees in the Corrections Academy. We have attached an associate's degree to that. And basically it's those units plus their general education courses. We've done the same with the Sworn Academy, which is the basic law enforcement academy.
What does that mean, sworn officer? Ed?
Okay, so those are the ones that are out in a patrol car and carry guns.
Okay.
And then the correctional officers, they do carry weapons when they're on duty and whatnot, but they don't traditionally leave the jail. They stay in the jail the whole time, correctional officers. But they do a great service in that with Riverside County Sheriff, they've allowed all the sworn to go out into patrol and patrol communities, and they are taking care of the jails instead of having deputies doing that and whatnot. So it works out really well.
When I
just want to know who swears them in, just because I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, who swears them
Oh,
in?
you know,
They're
we just
sworn in.
call it-
Is it like a?
No, all of them are sworn. Even the correctional deputies are sworn in. It's just a different category, but that's just one thing that we, you know, a sworn versus a non-sworn position. You know, so typically with our non-sworn, they're not going to get sent down to San Diego for a fire, but our sworn will get sent down there for a week or two.
You know, I
or
had the
whatever.
privilege of seeing a ceremony, and it was great to just watch Leslie as if someone was joining the force whose father had been on the force and was either retired or active, they would actually have the father participating in the ceremony. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. We have a lot of generational people. It's kind of funny. I see kids now. They're going through the academy, and their fathers or mothers were my baby deputies when I was a lieutenant, you know, so we see that. And so it's just kind of a handing off of tradition. So if you have a family member that was in law enforcement and you are getting sworn, they're actually allowed to pin your badge on you versus Sheriff Bianco. And it's just a time-honored tradition.
Yeah, it was actually, you kind of saw almost the waterworks come just as that was happening.
Because
It was
it's
amazing.
really significant.
Yeah.
You know, it's similar to what the military does. When my son made second lieutenant, they have the bar pinning, and it was really great. My son and I got to pin him. So it's kind of, we are paramilitary with law enforcement. And so we have a lot of their traditions too. You know, we've picked them up along the way.
What is a component of the police academy or police training that maybe somebody might not know about? And so far today in the show, we've heard a lot about mental health training and mental health awareness. What might be another component?
Another component is soft skills. We are finding that,
What do you mean?
like talking to people.
Okay.
This generation is used to getting on their phone and typing and social media and whatnot. We're finding that at times they kind of lack that initiative, that confrontation, that
Interpersonal skills.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, and how to talk, you know, how to de-escalate a
So
situation.
how does this program kind of address that emerging need?
Oh, well, because what happens is the first day they're kind of yelled at, and it's a shock to them, some of them and whatnot, but they're brought along to have confidence, self-confidence in themselves, in their performance, and in their talking. You know, at first it's reciting certain things. They all recite the code of ethics. They recite different penal code sections, but then it moves into what would you do if. So in the classroom, we set up 4 chairs like it's a vehicle. And so how are you going to address these people? You're going to walk up and, you know, explain to them why you pulled them over. And, you know, we walk them through how it should be done. And then at the very end, we do scenarios, and they have to pass these scenarios. And there's 14 of them. And some of them are intense, and some of them are, pretty fairly easy to deal with and whatnot, but you're going to deal with a mentally ill person. You're going to deal with a sexual assault victim. They're going to deal with a homicide. What's the response to these, to kind of prepare them for what's out there.
Wow, that's amazing, and it sounds like our program is really responsive to just the emerging needs of our students.
It is, and we encourage all of our students to apply to be a role player. Because we actually pay them to come out here and be the role players for our law enforcement academy. So in our ADJ courses and throughout the college, we'll put out announcements asking students, if you even think you're remotely interested in this, come on out, be a role player. We've had several from the theater department come out, and we make a point of writing them a really nice letter of recommendation and whatnot, because if they're coming out here, they're not paid very much, but they're giving of their time, and so it just builds up their resume. So any and all students are welcome to be a role player.
So if I'm on the fence about whether or not to apply to be part of your program, what might be some questions you'd ask me, or what would be some of the conversation we might have?
I would just talk to them about what it is they're looking for. We get a lot of the social workers from the Human Services Department into our programs. Especially ADJ1, because it's a requirement of theirs, which is just courts, corrections, and law enforcement, so they understand the justice system. And most kids have an emphasis. They either want to work with juveniles or they want to work with adults. They don't want to be out in the rain with a gun in the middle of the night, or, what skills do they have? So let's just say we have someone that's very good with computers. We might send them towards our crime analysis program, because they're still doing investigations, they're still doing a public service, but it's basically an 8 to 5. Obviously, if there's operations, it's extended, but, so we might refer them there. If it's juvenile, they want to do something with juveniles, there's 2 categories: the juveniles that have been taken from their parents and those that have committed crimes. So we have probation come in. We have a lot of excellent partnerships out here. Probation comes every semester. So does CHP. They come to our classes, especially in our ADJ1, to introduce different types of things. Customs and Border Patrol come out. Most people don't know that Customs is also part of that. Most of us seem to know what Border Patrol does, but Customs, they're at every...
Sounds like a lot of awareness.
Yes, and we do. We try to bring in guest speakers on everything.
That's amazing.
State corrections also. So we have that. Also, we have a lot of options. And so what we always offer is, if a student isn't sure what they want to do, is we just set up a one-on-one and we kind of go through things. We have recruiters at every agency that works with us that we can send them directly to. We can give them their information, and then they can kind of see if that's what they want. We suggest maybe a ride-along if they're thinking about law enforcement. So they just go out one evening with a police officer. Probation allows that to happen. We have a partnership with the district attorney's office. They have a evidence tech position there that several of our students participate in.
Excellent. Wow. So if somebody's interested, how do they get in touch with you?
Oh, easy. Kristy, Kristy.Paine, Paine, at MVC.edu.
Outstanding. Well, listen, thank you.
Thank you.
For everything, and also thank you for your service here at
Thanks.
Riverside County. I think that's
Appreciate
important.
that.
You know what? You're more than welcome to stay at the table. I am going to ask for one crasher to come and just join our set for a moment. I know Dean Phil Rawlings is in the room somewhere. If you could just come and join us, maybe look over somebody's shoulder for a moment. Now,
I'll stand by Kristy.
there we go.
She's my partner in crime, no pun intended.
There we go. Well, just as part of this episode, someone behind the scenes who's helped us kind of curate this and get everybody together has been Dean Phil Rawlings. Could you tell us a little bit about your service in the field, just very briefly?
Well, interestingly enough, Fontaine and I ran parallel courses. He was 86 when he started. I started in 87.
Okay.
On the EMS side, and went to medical school in 89. Same year he did. And I worked for, at the time it was Goodhue, which is now AMR. It's the global company it's become. And from there, I actually started becoming a volunteer firefighter in 1991 at the city of Paris. So I was a volunteer firefighter there from 91 to 95. Working as a paramedic also out of that station for the private ambulance company. So I had we were in station with the fire department there. And then in '95, I was picked up by Riverside County Fire Department out in the Cove communities, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indian Wells. You know, so
Excellent.
Wow.
where the big hotels are.
And you served as a fire chief.
Well, I served as a division chief. I moved
Division
through
chief,
the ranks
okay.
and promoted to. I was also part of the first paramedic squad in the Riverside County system.
Okay.
In 1999 in the city of Temecula, where I was there for about eight or 9 years. I was in Temecula, promoted to a captain there, and then I promoted to a battalion chief in 2010. Was a battalion chief and retired out in 2020.
Okay.
I can't remember.
And then your fun
2020
began at
division chief.
education. Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well,
Which
along
is-
that way, I had always been. It was always like the plan. In case if the firefighting can be very risky, you can get injured very easily,
Sure.
and you can have career-ending injuries quite easily. So, I actually started teaching. I've taught for Palo Verde. I've taught for. Have not taught for College of the Desert, Mount San Jacinto, and then I ended up at RCC in 1994.
Wow. So you really have the full spectrum of everything that's here,
Yeah.
and just well situated to be a dean here, just over everything. So if someone's listening or watching today's episode and they want to talk to you just to get information about Ben Clark and the various fields, what's the best way to get in touch?
Well, the best way to get in touch with myself is to just notify me via email. Philip, PHILLIP.Rawlings, RAWLINGS @MVC.edu.
Excellent. I just want to say thank you, and thank you for putting today's episode together. Excellent. All right. Well, wow, what an amazing episode today. We got to talk to so many professionals. Just
And what?
takeaways that you have.
Well, one, I learned a lot. One, I had a firsthand thing on the importance of, like I said, this mental health. I have law enforcement in my family, and they sometimes come home and say, you didn't understand what we did today. And I'm like, you don't understand what we did today. Like dealing with all this stuff at college. So hearing them talk is like, it's a different level of respect that now I will have for those people in my own family. So
Well, if the faculty and Dean Rawlings will have us again, I don't think this is our last time out here. I'll go ahead
you're
and
right.
venture
Day in
that.
the life with Dr. Besikof. I see. He could do a little
there we
ride
go.
along.
As we wrap up this edition of the MVC President's Hour, we want to thank our Moreno Valley College and RCCD audience, as well as those up and down the great state of California, whether you're tuning in from down in the border at the 619 or 858, all the way up to the far north in the 717 and the 530. Thank you. And thank you also LinkedIn Nation and Instagram Nation and Mountain Lion Nation, lots of nations, as well as those locally tuned in today from Paris, Rancho Las Perras, Nuevo, Good Hope, Lakeview Hot Springs, Mead Valley, Mission Grove, Orange Crest, Sedona, Woodcrest, El Casco, Paso de Lago, Marina Knolls, Moreno Beach, and of course those right here on campus listening at the Ben Clark Center, and those about 25 minutes away tuned in on LaSalle at our LaSalle campus. As we close up shop at the President's Hour and try to dodge all that traffic on, I guess it would be, what is it, Van Buren now?
Yeah, everywhere.
Before getting onto the 215, the 60, the 10, or the 91, Leslie, take us home.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to the MVC President's Hour, hosted by Dr. Rudy Besikof. This is co-host Leslie Vargas, and if you have a suggestion for a future show, please email us at preshour@mvc.edu.